seminaries, let's say. They weren't called seminaries at the time or houses, but religious centers in early Islam. The first one was in Medina. Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam played a major role in establishing that seminary. Many companions, they learned Islamic laws from Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib alayhi salam. The second center was in Kufa. After the Imam migrated from Medina to Kufa when he became the Khalifa, the religious center of the Muslim world became in Kufa. The Imam alayhi salam, he would teach Islamic law. Some of the companions who were raised by Imam Ali, educated by Imam Ali, they would come to the mosque in Kufa and they would also teach. So that was the second religious center. The third religious center was in Qom. In Qom at the time in Iran, south of Ray, south of the capital of that region, there were many followers of Ahlul Bayt who were persecuted. In Baghdad, for example, in Iraq after Imam Ali alayhi salam. So they wanted to go to a place where they felt safe, where they had freedom to discuss Islamic law. Qom was a perfect place for them. And hence you see many of the narrators and scholars, they were Qummis. They lived in Qom, they taught classes in Qom, they preached Islamic laws in Qom. Now Najaf, you've all heard about the Hawza and Najaf. How did that start? When you go to the time of a Shaykh al-Tusi, so now we're talking about, 3-4 centuries after the Prophet, peace be upon him. A Shaykh al-Tusi was initially in Baghdad. Baghdad, in that era, in the 4th, 5th centuries, it was the center of the religious sciences. A Shaykh al-Tusi, he had a chair in Baghdad. He would teach, he was very well respected. A civil war broke out. There was a civil war in Baghdad. He was attacked, his chair was broken, he could no longer teach. So he migrated to Najaf. Shaykh al-Tusi migrated to Najaf. At that time, Najaf was a small village. It was not populated by many people. It was not a commercial or any, religious hub. But he had no choice, so he went to Najaf and he started teaching there. As a result of his migration to Najaf, hundreds of scholars flocked to Najaf. And he is the one who established the Hawza in Najaf. We're talking about 1,000 years ago. So Shaykh al-Tusi is the one who founded the Hawza in Najaf. And ever since, it's been one of the most prominent seminaries in the Shia world. So this is a brief overview and history of Islamic law. Now what happened in Sunni law, you will find that in the 4th, 5th centuries, that was the golden age, where you had all these schools of thought. So many efforts were dedicated to Sunni Islamic law. But then, after the Mughals attacked the Muslim empire, and you had the Crusades, big changes happened in the Muslim world. Sunni scholars started to shift away from Islamic law, and they started to focus on philosophy and the intellectual sciences, the natural sciences. And hence, when you hear about the golden age of, sciences that Muslims contributed to humanity, it came after this period. So Sunni law was pretty much neglected after the 5th and 6th centuries. And that's why you see that the door to ijtihad, door to Islamic jurisprudence was closed in the Sunni world. And they only have how many schools of thought? 4. Why? What was the reason? Does the Quran say you could only have 4? No. But because after the 4th school of thought, later on, because of these events, they shifted away from Islamic law and they focused on other sciences. So really, Sunni law died down in the Muslim world. And you did not have any new schools of thought. Most Muslims would just follow these 4 schools of thought. You either followed Abu Hanifa or Malik or Shafi'i or Ahmad ibn Hanbal. Whereas in the Shia world, no. You find that scholars in every era, their area of expertise was Islamic law, and most Shia scholars, they specialized in Islamic law. So Shia law is much more advanced, than you find in other schools.